In this video, I'm going to show you the difference between a beginner, an intermediate player, and a master in chess. I'm going to play 3 games against 3 players of different levels and see what does it take to get to the next level. Let's go. Let's go. First game. My opponent should be a beginner, a player with 500 elo, and they are playing e4, we play e5. All right, we start with the boom. Queen h5 is one of the strongest, trickiest move played by beginner, because the queen is attacking this pawn, but is also threatening this other pawn. Now the move that you have to know is to protect this pawn with the knight. Like this, the pawn is protected. The next move of my opponent is going to be bishop there, and you're threatening checkmate. And now attention, if I move the other knight out, I'm mated. So I have to play the move g6, interfering with the queen, attacking the queen, and now the queen has to go back. Perfect. Now there is still a checkmate threat, so I can develop my knight. The knight is protected by the queen, this is important, no longer protected by the pawn. And now the checkmate is also protected. There is one more trick they could try, and it's to go with the queen here, because the queen is attacking one more time that pawn with the bishop. If the queen goes there, you have to remember one more move, that is knight d4. You attack the queen, you're not protecting that pawn though. So actually, white could take here with check, then you move the king up, the queen will have to move on c4 to protect this bishop, and you can play b5, attack the queen, and you will eventually capture the bishop. I hope this is not too complex, but this is how you defeat that. Now we can just develop our pieces, so I will bring my bishop in fianchetto, and I'm ready to go for short castle. All right, they are pinning this knight. I see that they are new players, but very tricky players. They know how to play the opening and how to pose problem immediately. Let's go. So now we are just protecting this knight, and we are completely fine. How do we want to keep going? Well, we have to develop all the pieces. Don't forget that the goals in the opening are basically 3. Control the center, develop the pieces, and castle your king. We already castled the king. We have a good control of the center thanks to this pawn. And we just need to finish to complete the development of this bishop, and then the queen and the rooks. Right, so what are we going to play? Here there is a very important move that you have to remember. My opponent is now threatening knight d5, because this pin is really annoying, and this is very typical in those structures. If the knight goes there, this knight cannot take the knight, right? And this knight will be attacked 3 times. And there is not a way to protect it a 3rd time. This knight cannot move because the queen is lost behind. So the knight would be lost. So this threat is huge. And that's why in chess, every time your opponent makes a move, the first step is to ask, what's their idea? Just then, if they have no idea, or their idea is not a problem for you, you can keep going with your own plan. Chess is always a game where you have to take care of your opponent as well. In this position, I will go with the knight here. This move is multitasking. It's attacking the queen, it's attacking this pawn. So it's a little fork. But the queen could simply go back here to protect this pawn. But also, I might prepare the move c6. And the pawn that is staying 3 squares in front of a knight is dominating the knight. Let's see. Because this pawn is controlling all the square where the knight would love to jump forward. So this knight is dominated by the pawn. Alright, so they are developing a knight, attacking our knight. We always have to ask what's their idea. We could take back with the pawn. Now the question is, do we want to double the pawns like this? Or we prefer not to do so? Attention here, I was shortly evaluating the move d5 to attack the bishop. But actually, that move would be a huge mistake, because let's not forget that this knight cannot be moved. So, what to do? I think in this position could be good to trade this knight, just because we don't want to have double pawns and we don't want to go backwards, so that's completely fine. And now we have to complete our development. But first of all, I will do a very useful move, h6. I'm attacking this bishop, and the bishop has to make a decision. Do you want to stay on this diagonal, maintaining the pin over the knight, or do you want to go back in a safer square? Like this, I can understand if I can play d6 or d5 all together. It would be lovely to play the move d5 because I'm winning a tempo, I'm attacking the bishop, and actually I think I'm winning. I'm winning a piece. d5, attacking the bishop will have to move at some point. Then I can keep rolling with my pawn, and this will be a nice little fork. That's lovely. This is something that you can learn with lots of tactics. Because if you train tactics, you will see these nice opportunities and you will get a chance to win material. And the bishop will have to move, and then that's a fork. Okay, they are giving away the piece. I'm taking back. By the way, they are a good player, you know. They already have a knowledge about some opening tricks. They have a knowledge about this tactic. I believe they saw the tactic. If not, they wouldn't have sacrificed the piece. So they are actually a very good player. I'm impressed. They are going probably to take back here. I mean, usually when you are in disadvantage, you shouldn't trade pieces. So actually here, white should try to keep the pieces on the board. But as I'm attacking the bishop and the knight at the same time, I'm going to trade. And so they prefer to trade themselves. Now I have two nice little bishops. They deserve the green color. Let's go. And what is my plan to win the game? One, I can trade all the pieces and go to an endgame, where I will have an extra bishop and it should be completely winning. Two, I can maybe try to organize some attack. For example, I will go with the bishop here because I want to go there, and suddenly I'm threatening mate. So this could be a great idea. Also, my rook could go there, attacking this pawn. C4 is a great move because now the queen has to find a better place to stay. We will go back there, and then we will bring the rook. The rook here, the other rook here. We'll just bring the rooks to the center, to the action. Well, if I move this rook, this pawn would be hanging. So we have to be a little careful. Let's play this move. I like it because I'm blocking this bishop that is now hitting on a pawn that is well protected by another pawn. So this bishop is losing power. Let's notice that this bishop actually cannot move forward. Cannot move here, cannot move there, cannot move there, not there, not there. So the bishop is actually completely passive right now, because all the squares where the bishop could go, and this is a blunder. Because I'm taking, if the bishop takes, I get a free cheese macaroni queen, which would be great. And if they don't move, I win a bishop. That is also very juicy. They are moving the queen away, but I think I can simply take there. And now I will have two pieces, a rook. I'm really having lots of material right now. But still, my rooks are sleeping. So I need to bring them to the party. If not, I'm not going to give mate. Because the only point of having extra pieces is that you can attack something important to your opponent, and you will have more attackers than defenders. But if I'm not attacking anything, well, even if I have extra rooks, doesn't bring me much. So I will bring now a queen here towards this pawn, and then I will try to bring the rooks on the open file to bring the rook here, attack this pawn, and this should be a very decisive attack. They move the queen. Shortly ask yourself what's their idea. I don't see any particular idea, so I'm taking here a free pawn with check, and then I'm going to bring the rook to the party. I will pre-move this, perfect. Attacking the queen. Every time you can bring a piece with tempo, attacking a piece of higher value, that's great. That's a great deal. Now, rook here. We are attacking this pawn twice. This pawn is protected twice, but it's protected by the queen. So my opponent is under stress. Ooh, they're pushing there. But I think this is now game over. I'm taking, attacking the king, attacking the rook. And they just resign. GG's. I'll show you the bim bum bam. If the king moves, I can just move my bishop here. And the king has no squares to go. So the bishop can just, the check can just be covered with the rook and with the queen. And this is checkmate. Actually, I should have captured with the queen, because this is immediately mate. New game. I changed my account, so now my opponent will be a completely different level. They are around 1000, and we are with the white pieces. We play e4, they play c5, the Sicilian defense. In every opening, you have to bring out your pieces, control the center, and castle. So the knight is out here, always towards the center. The knight could go out here, there, or there, but this is the best square. This is, okay, this is yellow because still towards the center, and this is really bad. So remember, always towards the center. Now, my opponent is playing a very direct move, controlling the center, and they want to trade my central pawn. Here I'm taking, and I'm showing you that this move has a problem, because they have to bring now the queen out. And the queen out is a problem, because the knight and the bishop, all the pieces of less value, can attack the queen and force the queen to move one more time. So while I'm developing, my opponent is just moving the queen. And now they did actually a very wise move, just bringing the queen back, and the queen is safe. But there is a problem here. How many pieces did I develop? 1, 2, 3. How many pieces did my opponent develop? 0. Now they will hopefully develop 1. So that's not good for them. I will go with the queen here. I'm protecting this bishop. And in general, in chess, it's very convenient to make your opponent trade first. Because, for example, if they would have traded, the queen here is actually very strong, giving a check, attacking this pawn and this pawn. Now they play d6, protecting that pawn. But if not, that pawn would have been hanging on c5. I'm just castling, and I want to see what my opponent plays next. Ooh, h6? This is not how you should play chess. This move is really not useful at all. Sometimes this move can be useful to block, for example, the bishop from getting there, but I'm not even threatening to go there. So I think I would have played the knight there, but because knight here is blocking the move of d4. Would have been controlling that square a second time, and I cannot play the move d4. Instead now, I can play for the center, attacking the center. If they take, I'm placing, okay. f5, really not. So here we are showing why you don't have to push too many pawns in the opening. Honestly, if I compare the opening of the 500 and the 1000, the 500 played it better. Because even if they try to play tricky, at some point they brought the queen back and then they castle, they brought the pieces out. Instead, my opponent is not doing so. Now, I could bring this bishop out to complete my development, but I have a stronger move, because this bishop, even if the bishop goes here, doesn't really change. I will go with the knight here. Knight to the center makes your opponent surrender. Actually, this knight is really strong, because the queen is also joining here, threatening to sneak into the king's DM. There is not really a strong way to stop it, because that's also not the only threat. My knight could jump here. Remember, every time you push a pawn, you're creating weaknesses around. The square is now really weak. You're playing this move, but still this is absolutely tough for them. I think I'm pushing this pawn and I'm saying, FBI, open up. I want to trade the pawns in the diagonal, in the file where the king is. Now, if the pawn is taking, I have a deadly tactic, because I can do a discovery check. Meaning that, imagine that this pawn is disappearing, is no longer there. If I move the knight, that is going to be a check. So I have to move the knight in the most powerful square, where the knight is attacking as the strongest piece. I could go here and win a rook. Okay, now they are taking. I will take, and I think they will take back. And then we have the discovery check. Now I could go here attacking the rook, but I will go there. And the fact that I'm giving a check is forcing my opponent to take care of the check. And then I will take the queen. And it's nice that if they cover with the queen, the square is also controlled by the knight. So I want a nice, juicy, tasty queen. And now I'm just giving mate, straight forward, checkmate. GG's. This move was 50 moves, and I think my opponent here made some very important mistakes. Not developing the pieces, bringing out the queen too early, and pushing too many pawns. Time for our final opponent. We are playing a player around 1500. If a d4, we have the black pieces, we go out with the knight. So now they are an intermediate player, and I believe that they will play the opening much better than the other two players, meaning that I should develop the pieces. Now, I really don't like this move too much because it's blocking the bishop from going out. Usually, I really like that first you push a pawn in the center, and then you bring out 1 and 2. And then you push the other one and you bring out the other and the knight. Because like this, all the pieces are out for having a fun time. Instead, like this bishop is going to be blocked by his own pawn. So I will bring this pawn to the center and then bring this bishop out. Now here or there, that's a good question. Let's go here. Let's pin this knight that is not developing. You remember, green, yellow, and red. Oh, I'm messing with the colors. So I don't particularly like the development like this, but it's still fine. The point here is that the knight is blocking the bishop from going out. So it's not like thinking about the entire development. And my opponent is also wasting a bit of time with these pawns. Already 4 pawns moves out of 5 moves. I will go with the knight here, and I want to play the move e5. I'm a very humble player. b4, Again, way too many pawns. This is a huge mistake. Now, if I play e5, probably they are pushing here. I have to move my knight, and then they win a pawn. So it's not particularly convenient for me. So maybe I would play the move a6 just to stop this pawn from being pushed, and then go for the move e5. This was safe, and that's why it's really important to understand what's the idea of your opponent. Even if your opponent is playing a weird move like b4 and now a3, which is like, what? Even if they're playing weird, you still should ask yourself what's their idea. One of the best tasks to develop in chess is to understand how to play logical moves. So how to understand, okay, this is a logical good move in chess. The queen here is not a logical good move because you don't want to bring the queen out too early. What are the knights doing there? At least the nice part of this queen b3 is that now the knight can be moved forward. I'm going to castle anyway, and then I want to place a rook here, take the center and attack directly the king. Again, another move that I really don't like. I'm going to take here, and now you see that my opponent has already a very difficult choice. They might have to take with this pawn, because if they take with the c pawn, this one will be hanging. And if they take with the e pawn, then this file is open in my favor. I will slide the rook there, the queen there, and try to be really annoying against that knight that is right now attacked by the bishop, but will be pinned by a rook or by the queen. My opponent they disconnect. Oh, they're back. So probably they just had some internet issue. So the knight is taking back, and this is actually a smart idea. Because if now I take, they can actually take with this pawn, and this one is protected by the queen. Okay, they are playing well. I like it. I will just play rook here. Usually when there is a trade, do not be the first one to trade, unless it brings you an advantage. I don't want to say that you never have to trade, because sometimes it brings you an advantage, but be sure that it's better to trade than not to trade. Because in many cases, it's better to let your opponent trade, because they have to waste a move to take your piece. Now I think I have a very nice move. The bishop went out. What is their idea? They want to castle. That's quite straightforward. I'm going to improve my knight. I have already all my pieces developed, which is nice. My king is castled, the center is controlled. The rook is also in a semi-open file. My position is lovely. I have achieved really a very nice position with the black pieces. So now I'm improving my pieces, plus winning a tempo, because I'm attacking the bishop. And now you see the queen has been moving one more time. So my opponent wanted to castle, they couldn't. Now, I'm going to do the trade for the first time. I'm going to trade this knight for this bishop. Or maybe not. I'm also thinking about something else. For example, queen here. Because if the king castle, maybe I have some possible sacrifices. I don't see something really powerful. No, there are way too many pieces protecting the square. So I will actually take. I was surely considering that. Now the queen takes, I will go with the bishop back here, attacking the queen. And the reason why I traded, because we are in an open position. And the bishops are actually very strong pieces. So now I could go maybe with the knight forward, or I could bring the queen towards the square. Let's go with the queen here. I want to simply place a queen there and then to give mate. I will first play knight there, because now, if the knight is taking, I'm taking with the pawn, and then look at this. This knight can no longer go there, which is the natural way to protect that square. And so actually this move is going to be really strong. How is my opponent stopping this very strong mate? I think they have to push this pawn. That's the only way. Or push this one. But this is now creating even more weaknesses. I'm thinking about bishop here to attack the queen. Queen has to move. And then to try to sneak with the queen. But this knight is really annoying because it's controlling some very important squares. I would love to go with the rook there and to bring the rook there and to give mate. But I cannot. So what can I do? I will bring a rook here and maybe we'll sacrifice my rook there. Or I can play a bit slower. For example, c5. I really like this move. The pawn will take and then I will take with the bishop. Yes, I'm attacking the knight. Now I can already start to see some possible sacrifices. And also my rook can join the party. So I think it's time to go for this move. I'm attacking the queen. If the pawn is pushed, they are creating a forever weakness on that diagonal. Even if now this square can be controlled by the rook. Okay, I might just have to go back. Yeah, I will go back, but sometimes is really good to provoke such weaknesses, because now I have a move like f5. But before opening up everything, I will bring my rook there. This is called rook lift. It's a very powerful idea to attack your opponent. My rook wants to go forward to g6 or to f6 and to sneak in for the attack. The king is moved back, but this gives me possibility to bring even more pieces. I'm not considering all the breakthrough. I would love to bring a rook there, right? But this bishop is a little bit annoying in between. So f5 could be a move. h5 could be a move. Now the question is, what's best? I have to assume that after I push, my opponent is not going to take. Because if they take here, I'm taking, attacking the queen, the rook is sliding. It's like a dream for me. But they are not going to take. They're going to stay like this. And if I take, they take back. And still I cannot bring my pieces. So maybe I'm going to push actually this pawn. Let's go. My time is getting short and I have to be a little bit careful. Every time you push the f pawn, remember that your king is suddenly getting weak. For example, here, I need to check that this move is not a problem for me. This is a check attacking the bishop, but the bishop is protected by the queen, so I can simply move my king away. I'm now taking, and this was my plan. I want now finally to bring the rook to the g file, where I'm going to be quite dangerous for my opponent. The rook is joining the party on the g file, which is about to be made. This is a lovely example of what happens if you're not following the opening principles. My opponent didn't blunder any piece, didn't do any major blunder, right? But they are in a lost position just because they didn't play logical moves. I'm now attacking this pawn, and I can attack it also once at a time. I can also think about taking here. There are so many ideas. There is just one thing I have to be careful, and is this check that could win a piece. The bishop is moved here to protect, but as you can see, all my pieces are attacking. All the pieces of my opponent are defending. I will play queen here. I'm just threatening to go to give a very annoying check. And if the king tries to run, okay, the queen wants to be traded. I don't want to trade the queens. Even if I'm winning a pawn, my time is getting short. Okay, I will go with the queen here. I'm threatening mate, and I'm also threatening to take this pawn and to take the queen. So the queen has to go back all the way. What? No, you took a pawn, but you get mated. That's not good. Okay, they blundered suddenly and without suspense. Nice. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If yes, remember to like and subscribe. And remember, bring out your pieces into active squares. Thank you so much for watching. Maybe I will do a new episode next week if you like, and subscribe. See you guys. Bye.